These legendary stars weren't acting, the cameras just happened to be rolling. Behind the glamour of classic Hollywood, some of the most unforgettable scenes were captured in real, unplanned moments. The fear, the tears, the laughter, the shock, none of it was scripted. Directors kept filming, audiences believed the performance, and history was made. From silent-era risks to emotional breakdowns, these iconic stars revealed their true selves on screen in ways Hollywood never intended you to see. Judy Garland's radiant performance as Dorothy Gale became one of the most beloved in film history, but behind the scenes, her experience was deeply troubling. At just 16 years old, Garland was placed under intense pressure by MGM to maintain a specific image. Studio executives tightly controlled her weight, diet, and sleep, routinely giving her amphetamine-based diet pills during the day and sleeping pills at night to keep her working long hours. This cycle left her physically exhausted and emotionally fragile. In several scenes where Dorothy appears overwhelmed, tearful, or drained, Garland was not acting, she was genuinely struggling. Her slumped posture, strained expressions, and moments of quiet sadness reflected real fatigue and anxiety rather than scripted emotion. Garland later spoke openly about feeling isolated and controlled during the production. The camera unintentionally captured this vulnerability, turning her real distress into cinematic history, a haunting reminder of the cost of Hollywood's golden age. Buster Keaton, known as the Great Stone Face, was a pioneer of physical comedy and stunts in silent films. Unlike many actors of his era, Keaton performed almost all of his dangerous stunts himself, often with minimal safety precautions. One of the most infamous moments occurred during the filming of Sherlock Jr. when a water tower was rigged to collapse as part of a slapstick sequence. The stunt went horribly wrong, and Keaton was struck, sustaining a broken neck. Remarkably, he continued filming the scene, showing no outward signs of injury, and audiences assumed the dazed, stunned look on his face was a comedic choice. It wasn't, it was real pain and shock, captured authentically on camera. For years, the injury went unnoticed, and Keaton never let it stop him from performing. This incident exemplifies the extreme physical risks silent film actors endured and the line between comedy and real-life danger in early Hollywood. By the time Marilyn Monroe began filming The Misfits in 1961, she was experiencing immense personal and emotional struggles. Her marriage to Arthur Miller was strained, and her mental and physical health were deteriorating. During a particularly quiet scene, Monroe delivers lines about loneliness, despair, and disillusionment, her voice trembling, her eyes glistening with tears. What makes this moment remarkable is that it was not directed or scripted to be emotional, she wasn't told to cry or falter. Crew members later revealed that Monroe's raw expression came entirely from her own inner pain, as she confronted feelings of isolation and sadness in real life. This genuine vulnerability translated on screen, creating a hauntingly authentic performance that resonated deeply with audiences. Unlike carefully rehearsed acting, this scene captured the real Marilyn Monroe, fragile, human, and profoundly moving, immortalizing her emotional truth in cinematic history. By the time James Stewart began filming It's a Wonderful Life, he had recently returned from serving as a pilot in World War II, completing numerous dangerous bombing missions over Europe. The experiences he endured during the war left deep emotional scars, including anxiety, stress, and lingering trauma. In the film's emotional climax, when George Bailey confronts his despair and contemplates the value of his life, Stewart's performance is often described as incredibly authentic. What most viewers don't realize is that Stewart was not acting in the traditional sense. Director Frank Capra later revealed that Stewart drew directly from his own wartime experiences, channeling his genuine grief, fear, and vulnerability into the scene. The shaking voice, the tears, and the sense of overwhelming emotion were real, not rehearsed. This unfiltered authenticity gave the film a timeless emotional impact, making George Bailey's breakdown one of the most moving and unforgettable moments in cinematic history. Vivien Leigh's portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind is celebrated as one of the most iconic performances in Hollywood history, but it came at a significant personal cost. During the grueling production, Leigh faced intense pressure from the studio, long hours on set, and constant scrutiny over her appearance and performance. In one pivotal scene, Scarlett experiences a deep emotional breakdown. Reportedly, Leigh's exhaustion and personal stress reached a breaking point during filming. The sobbing, trembling, and raw anguish captured on camera were not planned or directed, they were her genuine emotions spilling over. Director Victor Fleming, recognizing the power of the moment, kept the cameras rolling, preserving a performance that was authentic and unfiltered. This unscripted vulnerability added depth to Scarlett O'Hara, creating a scene that continues to resonate with audiences, illustrating the fine line between acting and lived emotion in classic Hollywood filmmaking. Charlie Chaplin, the legendary silent film comedian, was a master of turning everyday life into laughter, but during the filming of The Kid, he was carrying an immense personal tragedy. Chaplin had recently lost his infant son, a heartbreak that weighed heavily on him. This grief unexpectedly infused his performance with raw, unfiltered emotion. In scenes where the tramp desperately protects and comforts the child, his expressions of fear, sorrow, and tenderness were not acted in the traditional sense. Film historians note that the depth of Chaplin's gestures, the subtle tremble in his hands, and the anguish in his eyes reflect genuine pain rather than scripted performance. By channeling his real-life grief into his work, Chaplin created a profound balance between comedy and tragedy. These moments resonate deeply with audiences because they are authentic, laughter intertwined with real human suffering, showing that sometimes the greatest performances emerge from true emotion. Montgomery Clift was renowned for his intense emotional realism, bringing a raw vulnerability to every role. By the time he filmed From Here to Eternity, Clift had endured a serious car accident that left lasting physical and emotional scars, altering his facial structure and voice. These changes deeply affected his self-image and confidence, and he struggled to reconcile his public persona with his private insecurities. In one intimate, quiet scene, Clift's character displays subtle hesitation, fear, and vulnerability, emotions that were not directed or scripted. Observers on set noted that his discomfort and self-consciousness were genuine, not acted. The camera captured every flicker of uncertainty and shame, creating a performance that blurred the line between the actor and the character. Hollywood rarely allowed such unfiltered honesty, but in this moment, Clift's real emotions became part of cinematic history, giving the scene a hauntingly authentic intensity that still resonates today. Elizabeth Taylor's performance in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is widely regarded as one of the most intense and raw in Hollywood history. During filming, Taylor drew heavily from her own personal experiences, particularly her turbulent marriage to co-star Richard Burton. The emotional battles between her character, Martha, and George were fueled by real-life tension, anger, and frustration, making the confrontations exceptionally believable. Many of the most explosive arguments and cutting insults were not entirely scripted. Taylor tapped into her genuine feelings of hurt, betrayal, and resentment. Burton later admitted that some moments felt uncomfortably real, as if the actors were reliving personal conflicts rather than performing them. This blurred the line between acting and reality, allowing Taylor to channel true emotional depth into her character. Her fearless authenticity, combined with her commanding presence, ultimately earned her an Academy Award, solidifying her legacy as one of Hollywood's greatest performers.